MV Derbyshire is a big ship. At 91,655 tons, and almost 1,000 feet long, she was the largest ship in her class, and thus, the last one ever built. Her massive 9 cargo holds could carry everything from grain to crude oil. Being the bulk oil carrier gave her an advantage. Unlike other bulk carriers, she always carried a different cargo on each trips, hence its name. For years had came and went. Stand still for a while, and also had her name changed recently, but Derbyshire was relatively in good shape, and had delivered tons of iron ore between Canada and Japan for months. On her final trip, nothing out of ordinary for her and her crews. Same route and same goods, but heavier, approximately 158,000 tons of iron ore in her cargo holds. As Cape-size vessel, she was too big for both Suez and Panama canals. And thus, sail all the way down to Cape Good Hope, before turning northeast for crossing the Indian Ocean, towards Japan. 7 months had passed, and within a few days, she would be at her destination, Kawasaki in Japan. As she was approaching Japan, the weather started to deteriorate. Typhoon Orchid was closing in on her position from the east. Running into a mouth of predator is not an option. They would need to wait for it to pass ahead of them, thus have a ship securely watertight, preparing themselves to hove in. In there, she was pounded by dozens of heavy rains, waves, and strong winds. 2 days had passed and nothing had improved, and it could got worse for Derbyshire and her crews as something bad is about to happen. You see, Derbyshire looked quite big and strong, but like other bridge-class sister, she had weak points in this area called frame 65, and the bow section of a ship. When investigation begins, they mainly focused on frame 65. Why? Because of her sister, Kowloon Bridge. She was broke in half in a storm, at the area of frame 65. When they gone to observing a wreck, they find nothing wrong in that frame. So they shifted their focus on a bow, at the bosun's hatch. In this picture, you can see a cover was missing, and investigators believe that the crews failed to properly secure it, leading to their demise. Again, a former crew of Derbyshire stated that, he taught his crews how to secure a bosun's hatch, and a rope on a bosun's hatch proved him right. If none of these caused a sinking, so where a flooding started? Well, what's about the ventilation pipes? Some of you might thought that couldn't be them, right? They looked small, and couldn't have been filled so fast, but don't forget that Derbyshire was in a storm for 2 days. Most ships had a raised forecastle, offering a protection, but on Derbyshire, it didn't offer any protection for incoming waves. So, when a wind and waves began smashing over the bow of a ship, a protective cover of ventilation pipes were blown away. Seawater got in, filling storage areas and ballast tanks, causing a bow to sit lower in a water. As a bow got lower, the large cargo hatches became exposed to the waves that were continuing build. Eventually, number 1 gave away, allowed thousands of tons of water straight in. Followed by number 2, who also been given away, and quickly filled an empty hold with seawater. In this picture, you can see that number 2 and 6 were empty. They need to fill like this, because if all were full, she would gone down before running out of space. Well, this configuration allowed Debryshire to gone down faster, as cargo hatches gave way, it left an awful lot of space for seawater to fill in. Within few minutes, all hatch covers were given away, and her hull were now underneath a surface. Derbyshire was on her way to a bottom of an ocean. As when she does, her double hull design caused a series of explosive decompression, and a wreck were quickly scratched in a few miles on a seafloor. The once largest ship of Bibby Line, and her 44 people had met their end within just 2 minutes.